We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, Ultimate, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
our
our work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
I love working with a team towards a common goal.
For the camaraderie.
Camaraderie and playing with my teammates.
I play for my team.
Teamwork and the connections that I can build on and off field.
For the community and the exercise.
Because of the community and the competition.
I like playing Ultimate Frisbee for the competition.
I play for the competition and the fun.
For fun.
Because fun.
I love getting to work hard.
You get out of it what you put into it.
Leave everything out here.
Every time I step on the field, I want to be a better player.
You know, give something people to talk about.
Be happy but never satisfied. To step away from real life and focus on Frisbee.
I play because I love Ultimate.
Find your drive.
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 Bichon picks up, and they've got a short field. They've got another goal. It's tied up at 12. I cannot believe what I'm seeing
Can
here.
Lola Dam chase that one down? That is a score for Hartlige Elverkel. Fantastic run by Julia Love.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge.
And we believe that that requires knocking down the paywall.
We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch, and we want them to go viral.
When you become a member, you enable us to improve our working relationships with tournament organisers, events and federations.
And you'll help us to produce live stories for Ultimate fans, and to generate new fans with our enhanced content.
We are a group of Ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts, and we want to bring you coverage on a more consistent basis. We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Ciao ragazzi, support the community.
Let's subscribe Ulti TV. There's lots of the videos, posting, everything. Check it out. They are the best one. Woo! If you want to grow Ultimate Sports, become a member of Ulti TV.
Regardez Ulti TV. Deviens un membre d'Ulti TV et fais grandir ta communauté.
Top Ulti TV بالمه eroginkime Ultimate vendromene.
Si quieres ayudar a Ulti TV, puedes ser miembro de Ulti TV.
Everyone, follow Ulti.tv on Instagram, on YouTube. They've got everything.
Best content.
Like their pictures if you love Frisbee. Just do it.
We're counting on you.
Bli medlem på Ulti TV.
Became member
of Ulti TV.
Mamma mia.
Contribue au développement d'Ultimate avec Ulti TV.
Like and subscribe, Ulti TV, the best in the world.
We want to grow Ultimate.
We want to grow Ultimate. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We have our signature style 2-camera setup,
with thousands of hours of experience.
And our crew is globally dispersed to facilitate coverage everywhere around the world. We can also scale back our broadcast with just one elevated camera, or scale up with 2 fields, 2 cameras, and 2 commentators on each.
We work with local teams and we all have the same mission, to grow the sport and bring it to new people by providing live coverage and new stories.
Become a member today on our Patreon page.
And fund our work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories, ideas and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
Thank you for that 1:18 person. We're going to start off with the ladies from London ICENI. Starting with number 3, Hannah Smith. Number 4, Camilla Spearing. Number 5, Emily Hill. Number 7, Joe Hamer. Number 8, Hayley Zolman. Number 10, Sarah Hill. Number 14, Maeve Crowley. Number 16, Becky Thompson. Number 17, Kat Pope. Number 22, Charlie Ellis. Number 27, Kimberly Marsh. Number 28, Karen Kwok. Number 37, Ellie Taylor. Number 51, Lauren Van Kuyken. Number 54, Fiona Kwan. Number 57, Lucy Barnes. Number 69, Anna Nozovic. Number 70, Chi Ling Wu. Number 72, Madeline Leung. Number 82, Kate Stafford. Number 83, Megan Brack. And number 99, Katie Blight. Let's hear it for your London team, ICENI. And their competitors this evening. Heading all the way from France, let's hear it for YAKA. With number 3, Maria Castillo. Number 4, Caroline Toussaint. Number 6, Esther Van Zyk. Number 11, Rika Kia. Number 19, Flo Mazio. Number 20, Emma Delone. Number 21, Say Munier. Number 22, Paula Bass. Number 24, Brigitte Lemercier. Number 25, Anne Lebat. Number 26, Claire Mathias. Number 27, Melanie Lebay. To number 28, Chloe Valles. Number 29, Jean Delvar. Number 39, Elise Becker. Number 42, Andrea Zen. Number 52, Anne Lebron. Number 54, Chas Krosnier. Number 59, Malina Davin. Number 80, Amane Dabikian. Number 83, Patricia Gonzalez Navasa. Number 84, Irene Doroshenko. And coaching the YAKA team this evening is Nemo. They're there for the ladies of YAKA. Yep, sternum face, ladies. Off we go. There we go. Now, if you're just joining us for this evening, this is the final tour game for YAKA and ICENI. At half-time, we're going to have the men's half-time distance pulling competition, so keep an eye out for that. Prizes to be won there. Grab yourself a drink at the bar if you don't have one already. And good luck, ladies. Conor McHale to reception. Conor McHale to reception.
Welcome to London. Welcome to the London Invite. It's the last stop on the train line to Worlds, and these two teams in the women's division, ICENI from London and YAKA from Paris, facing off in pool division play. Myself, Tom Stiles, alongside Rachel Douglas. And it has been a breezy day out here in London, Rachel, and it's going to affect this game, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. All of the games we've seen so far today have been enormously affected by the wind. As I'm speaking, it's actually died down a little bit, and it feels maybe the calmest it's been all day, but we're not going to be fooled by that. It's been very gusty. It picks up, it drops, and it keeps players guessing as to what's going to happen next. So we definitely expect the wind to be a factor in this game. And also, this is the first time both of these teams will have played this orientation. All of the other fields are kind of facing the other direction, so they're, depending on which direction the wind's flying, they've kind of been a bit more upwind, downwind, whereas there's definitely a sort of high side and low side on this field, but it's a little bit more across, so another adjustment they'll need to make.
Yeah, we see Katie Flight for ICENI launch this disc with a wind side of the disc down, and that's going to go to the ground pretty quickly, just stopped in its path. And YAKA with a short field from that first pull. Straight away, Van Week sends it into the end zone. It's diving in the turf, and again we see the wind affecting play. Could not get it across the field to Navasa, who's cutting for YAKA. So ICENI with a chance to break, but every pass is going to be pressured. Flight making the cut up the line. Crossfield available to Long, and a turnover again. Making contact on the way through, uncontested, and a little bit of discomfort.
This is a really tough corner, this to get trapped in for ICENI. It's sort of facing directly into the wind, definitely sort of the low side. So YAKA are able to put a lot of pressure on them here.
Delaval getting the disc out, but too much pressure. A lot of contact in there, but eventually ICENI come up with it. We'll see a lot of Delaval on the disc. Very impressive player. Now, we should note that the French World Games team are having a practice weekend this weekend. So, Ali Mondio Rasta is not here. So you'll see a lot of the other YAKA players. Katie Flight, big bid required to keep that alive from Stafford. Back to Flight. Isolated at the moment, she needs some support, gets it, but the disc just jumps up and Karen Kwok can't control it as she tries to collect that disc in full stride.
If there was ever a testament to how gusty it is, it's Karen Kwok not being able to come down with it. She's a player who doesn't typically let that disc out of her hands for love or money, so the fact that she wasn't able to collect that one, I think really speaking to the conditions here.
Delaval, Castillo. Across the field, Van Week in full stride, she collects it, and it's her first point to YAKA, with ICENI giving a couple of chances away. The French are the leaders at first point.
That was an unbelievable look from Castillo. It looked like a throw of absolute faith. I don't even know if she looked at the end zone before she let that rip, or maybe she just knew that there was a player in that vicinity, but a visionary put right across, just as much touch as possible to go, but still with the depth to go out in front of her player, who's able to run onto it completely uncontested for such an amazing score. That was an inspired play from Castillo.
Yeah, really impressive stuff. And we've got stat keepers, Benji Reese and Bryn Stiles. Family connection there. Get them in early, getting them do some work, you know. And we are delighted to be able to bring you this action wherever you're watching in the world. It's great to have you with us here in London. The Thames and Heathrow Airport, only a matter of minutes away from us. We're on the west side of the city here at the Grasshoppers Rugby Club, just off the Great West Road. And a block from Castillo. Gets the disc back into French hands, taking it out of the path of Lucy Barnes, who was running in hard. Finished on the turf, but without a disc in her hands. French swinging it. 254 shirts marking against each other. And it's eventually comes back to ICENI. Not got much of the field left to work with. They're over the halfway line. Becky Thompson picks up. Contact made downfield, Rachel?
Yeah, looks to be a pick call.
Yeah, Lucy Barnes calling the pick in the middle of the field.
I'm not sure I saw anyone really adjust. Unless they must have corrected. Oh, just behind Fiquan, unable to come down with it. Bounces off of her forearm, I think. So just an immediate turn there.
Yeah, that lead pass down the line delivered a fraction late by Thompson. And again, we see these conditions just making any mistake is going to be amplified in this breeze. Castillo running across, fast hands, fast feet. Gorsely, Castillo run across. On the far side, it's Groznia who cannot collect and back into the hands of ICENI once more. Nice advance to Kat Pope. Big backhand fake, but doesn't send it. Barnes in the middle now. Sends the long disc. Taylor's underneath it. She's chasing it down and reads it beautifully. And Ellie Taylor, who is on the GB World Games side, collects for ICENI and they level it up.
Yeah, it seems to be a little bit of challenge to get the flow, but when it comes, it really presented itself nicely there for ICENI. A few miscommunications, a few missed throws, just a little bit behind. And as we said, in this gusty wind, everything has to be pinpoint precision. So quite a few turns there, but are able then just to open up the field. And of course, if Ellie Taylor is going deep, they're going to put it.
They are always going to put it. Yeah, she has got such an incredible turn of pace. Ellie Taylor, medical doctor. Is she a doctor? She's a doctor, isn't it? I think she's a doctor. I'm going to say.
Let's call her a doctor.
Dr. Ellie Taylor.
Dr. Ellie Taylor. And if she's not, she can just be a doctor for today.
Let's just check the radar. There is some very ominous looking clouds in the area, but so far none of them have hit us where we are.
There was the threat of rain earlier. It sort of thought about it for a moment. A few drops fell, and then thankfully it went away again. But we are in the early stages of this game, and there is another showcase game after this one. So we just need it to stay nice, stay clear.
Tisson. Kier. Tisson. Delaval. Tisson again. A ICENI zone is out with flight on the mark. Tisson waves the big backhand, resets back to Delaval. Meisel available in the centre of the field in a 19 shirt if needed, and she gets the disc now. The Austrian from Vienna. Gets it moving across the field. YAKA with a chance. They're going to take their time here though. They're going to be patient. That is the mark that they need to show. Still building. Dayan. Meisel. Tisson now marked. Gone for a more one-on-one look. ICENI. Can YAKA adapt? Moving to Delaval. Pressure from ICENI. Still paying. The disc was a little bit scruffy out of Jenna Delaval's hands there and pounced upon by Katie Flight.
Katie Flight so far this game, I feel like she's baiting a little bit. She's definitely got some explosive power in her, and I think opportunities like that, I think she's just keeping that one step off. And perhaps similarly there.
Yeah, Malina Dayan, but just doing exactly the same in return, Rachel. I think that's a good call, actually. Flight on the GB World Games side, spends a lot of time in the gym, works very, very hard for her fitness and her explosive power. And knows how to use it as well, but it's YAKA that complete the point. Meisel collected the disc from Tisson, and it's going to be called back.
I think, yeah, just confirming actually that there was a pick, but that had no impact on the play. So that point stands.
So YAKA are 2-1 up against ICENI here in London, courtesy of Ulti TV. You're watching this, and wherever you are, hope you're enjoying it. So that is 3 holds.
3 holds. Nothing. Quite a few turns so far.
5 turns, but 3 holds.
3 holds. So it's come out. It's come out on serve. But YAKA coming into this game having dominated their game so far this tournament. No losses yet, and really kind of putting in very decisive victories against everyone they've matched up against so far. ICENI having had a slightly more challenging path. They did not manage to close out the game against Box from Vienna. They took a loss against Box and had a really, really tough and tight game against SICK with the final scoreline 7-6 in favour of ICENI. They did get the win that time, but really having to work hard for it. And as I understand, had a few points of 15 minutes plus, which is absolutely brutal. So definitely they'll be fired up to come out here and show what they're made of. Unfortunately, that one from Pope just a little bit overcooked, was a bit too far out in front of.
That looked like a nervous throw from Pope, just too far ahead, maybe not adapting well enough to the wind. Thompson bids on that disc, but it stays with the French. Bass. High stall count, manages to find a quick pass to Delaunay. Crossfield, wasn't a clean collect, but she's got it in her hands. Gosili, back across. Looks off the first one. Delaunay eventually finding the pass out to Navassa, and it's a turn to ICENI.
Yeah, Hannah Smith reading that perfectly. I don't know, maybe again it smelled a little bit of baiting, but perhaps it was just she was slightly off and read it and recovered. But whatever happened there, it's just immediately turning the disc back.
Yeah, there's who was it? Anne Le Bon just coming across, maybe took Ellie Taylor's attention as that disc arrived, and you cannot take your eyes off a disc in this breeze. It's not going to be where you last looked at it. And the hammer on a high stall from Paula Bass is another turnover. I think it was again Smith with the defensive pressure. It's another turn. This is a scruffy game from both these teams, not able to get the flow going, and another turn. Just the discs being rushed, not connecting. Barnes is off to the races. Thompson spots it, and she'll take the yards of the field possession. Barnes is coming in over the head. What an impossible disc to try and read and grab. But yeah, I think ICENI, given the amount of turnovers in this point so far, I think they'll be happy to be in that end of the field.
Yeah, they've definitely gained a huge advantage in terms of field position, not just in terms of yards, but as we said earlier, this back corner is a nightmare to get out of. It's a quagmire. You really are facing straight up into the wind. It's incredible. You can put a lot of pressure on in terms of defense and shut down options here to get them riled up. And as we see, yeah, Bass looking off first, second, third options, managing to get it out, but it is a challenge.
Becker gets it to Bass. The disc from Bass is floating in the air, and Thompson deals with it. Back in the hands of the London side, ICENI. Flowing nicely down the field to Kwan. Back to Pope. Much more assured with that pass from Kat Pope. Finds Barnes down the wing. Barnes looks at an option. Becky Thompson sprints up the line, collects in stride. Floats forward. Kwan is there, and it's a connection. And after 8 turnovers in that point, it's an ICENI break. Oh, sorry, it's another hold. We've just got holds.
Yeah,
holds everywhere.
Yeah, with the number of turns, you would think there'd be a break in there somewhere, but no, they are managing to get it back on serve and kind of keep those holds coming. Yeah, so far it's just incredibly scrappy. You know, up at this in this other end zone where YAKA on the attack, just turn after turn. I think sort of 3 turns and about 6 passes or something. Whether it's a question of focus, whether it's a question of like calibration, both sides really needing to tighten up. This is going to be an intensely competitive game. Neither side are going to want to give an inch. So it's really, really critical that not only are they generating turns on their opponent, but they're not giving anything away. You know, handing these turnovers over is not the way you're going to win this game.
Well, we track both blocks and turnovers, and sometimes we award one of each, where somebody has made a little bit of a mistake, but the block was still required. We'll award a turnover to the player that made the mistake, and a block to the player that got the final decisive blow. But most of what we've been awarding so far in this game, our stats team, Benji Rees and Bryn Stiles, have been has just been turnovers, just been mistakes, either receiving errors, throwaways, not reading the wind correctly. We've had all of the above, and that's a better pull from Katie Fly, angled back into the wind to control it, keeping the disc in field is always tricky. Della Val's bursting around, but she's been one-on-one marked. That's an interesting strategic move there. Kate Stafford, just mark out Della Val. Everyone else, you can do a regular zone.
That's very interesting. She's literally the only one on field getting marked.
Yeah, and well, they know that she's the playmaker, and they're looking for her. Dayan is looking for her. She's just out of this game. Kate Stafford just doing a job there. Tisson. And now Della Val's there. Kate Stafford not able to contain her on that occasion. She's such a playmaker for this French side. Kerr lurking in the end zone. Dayan with the disc back to Tisson, and it's an easy point at the end with the final connection to Andrea Zenz. Another hold.
Yeah, an interesting defensive look from ICENI, not only with the sort of choose to go zone except for one player, which is always a slightly curious move, but I think they stayed in zone right up until the end zone. We didn't see the break to person, or if there was a call for that, it didn't happen effectively.
No.
And Karen Kwok trying to mark the deep, but you know, if YAKA players come in, I think there are about 2 or even 3 in the vicinity and completely unmarked, because Kwok is just one person. So interesting not to call the break to person defense there. Not sure if that's a decided strategy or an oversight, but definitely proven there to be not super effective.
They call it the assassin D, where you just choose the one player. Right, you're going to get a one-on-one mark. Everyone else is going to get a regular, much more regular zone. See Becky Thompson and Kat Pope on the sideline there, 2 of the captains of ICENI this season in the World's Year, and trying to rebuild ICENI to the glory days. They've put a lot of structure in, a lot of effort, a lot of preparation, studying the video, studying the teams. They know the players that are threats on every single one of the teams. They've got very, very detailed preparation. Thompson looking for a way through. That's a good connection there. Manages to get it across to Kwan. Kwan into the end zone. Ellie Taylor looking at the rugby post, and that must have been lurking in her eye line as she sprinted downfield. Just couldn't quite take the line she wanted to. Yeah, I think you were wise, Ellie, to avoid a collision with that. Even if a well-wrapped rugby post, it's still a rugby post.
Yeah, I think. I think she did an excellent job to run it down, but I do think even if she got her hands on that one, that was going to be out. That was a beautiful look, but just quite a lot of sauce on it. Thompson making a big defensive effort there, but not able to get to it.
Still with YAKA. Team in white from France. Noisy-le-Sec on the outskirts of Paris. And a turnover from Castillo, just trying to race that disc across the field to Becker. Dives into the rubber crumb of this field.
It was a lot lower, I think, than she'd intended. Another attempt for a visionary look, but unfortunately not executed that time.
Thompson gets it to Barnes. Barnes looks back. Big bid from Castillo, doesn't quite connect. Taylor coming out of the deep space with such speed and energy. Manages to jolt free and gets the disc from Taylor, sends it downfield. ICENI looking to get a point here, and they do. And it's Laura Van Krijken who eventually completes the move, but that was a really impressive bit, and I believe, oh, that's another hold.
It's another hold. Every point you are so excited to see a break, and I'm sorry, it's another hold.
I'm just losing track of who started with possession. There's been so much change of possession. I'm going to pay attention better.
Van Krijken, I think, another player who perhaps is not as... Sorry, I say another player. I'm referring to a previous stream in the day. If you've been avidly watching the streams on Ulti TV, you'll know what I'm talking about. But Van Krijken, a player who perhaps isn't necessarily a name that people know, but she is a force to be reckoned with. If my memory is correct, I believe she played ICENI a few seasons ago, took some time off, and this is a sort of a comeback season for her. And she is formidable. She's just a sensational athlete, really speedy, sees the field, sees the space really well, and is also a threat on disc with a disc in her hands too. So she's the one that caught that long pass, and I think that's something that we'll see more from her in as the season progresses and these tournaments progress.
Well, would you like some stats?
Please.
Okay. So both teams have played 3 points on O and 3 points on D. The O-lines of the ICENI O-line has turned over 7 times. The YAKA O-line has only turned over 3 times.
Interesting. What do we make of that? If only there was someone here to give us an opinion on what they thought about that.
Yeah, well, that's your job.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think it just comes down to this execution question that we've already spoken about. YAKA have made mistakes, they have, but just have had cleaner, as the stats show, cleaner holds. ICENI really having to work so hard on it, and just a number of moments where they haven't taken enough time, they haven't had enough focus on how they're executing their options, and sort of particularly in those early points, just sort of the first couple, there was just turnover after turnover in quick succession. Very few actual defensive blocks this game. So far, largely still just been execution errors.
Disc coming downfield. Clara Mateus. Back to Delaval, back to Tisson on the far side. More of a loose look here from ICENI. They do have a number of defensive options available to them. Kier coming short.
Oh,
Dayan cutting out
fake.
Amazing pace as well. Marcel in the end zone, and it's a floaty disc across the top. And that is a hold.
Another hold, yeah. That play really just speaks to a team that know how to play together. That disc went up, and the player sort of had their back to it and weren't really in position, but just sort of saw the space in the field. Really trusted that throw was going to loop around and sit nicely out in front. And yeah, the cutter just knew to as soon as they saw that progressing, quickly turn their shoulder and go get it. A very sort of mature and advanced play there, I would say.
Yeah, Marcel, second point of the game for her.
That ICENI defense, sort of that poachy look over the off the handlers, designed to try and contain some of that downfield movement, try and force the handlers to move laterally, try and force them to sort of make rep after rep, throw a number more throws than they would ideally like to throw, and really gain very few yards. Can be very effective. I do think a side like YAKA, they've seen that, and I think they've thrown that same zone a number of times. So in that last point, didn't really seem to contain them too much. But we can see now YAKA putting on actually a very similar zone.
Almost identical zone. Thompson finds herself with the disc in the hand. Taylor sprinting deep. Or did Taylor just completely predicted the wrong location of that disc? Yeah, looks like she had her eyes on it on the way down there, but
she overshot it. She's too fast for her own good.
Yeah. Misread. Castillo arrives at the disc almost before she was ready to catch it. Bass quick turn of pace to get a little bit of space. Thompson on the mark of Krosnier. Castillo. Just the two handlers available. Back to Krosnier. Back to Castillo, slips on the turf, and it's down in the ground. Lucy Barnes just letting it fly out ahead of her. There was a YAKA player closing in, but didn't get there in time. It's a turnover to ICENI.
Not much movement on the field. Very static, except for Ellie Taylor, of course.
Yes. Ellie Taylor was the target in the previous point. Quick cut from Kwan. Back to Thompson. Pope coming out of the deep space was well marked out. Crossfield, a pass to Smith. Smith throws it into the end zone, but it doesn't connect. Dies in the wind. And that's another example of those handling errors that are costing ICENI dear at the moment. They've had, a YAKA in this breeze are going to give away the disc, and just every team is going to give away the disc, but ICENI not able to capitalise on that at the moment. Castillo having a bit of a shocker here. That's a reception error to go with a throwaway from previously. And this is tricky for the French. ICENI looking to put it in. The disc from Thompson fluttering in the wind. Taylor gets free. Kwan connects, and ICENI level it up at 4 apiece.
Great work. You know, it's a bit hard to. I think we've said the points that we've made so far, I think, just still stand. ICENI doing a great job of getting the disc back and taking the moment to kind of swing it around rather than trying to force it down the sideline that we've seen teams do in this breeze and with the kind of the cross breeze coming over. But again, you know, it wasn't actually an ICENI defense that got that turn. It was an execution error. So not to kind of labour the point, but if both sides want to get the breaks, they really need to hold on to their offense to put those in, and the way they're going to do that is to stop turning over, to put it simply.
Well, I think if one of the teams kind of gets their offense clicking, they could run away with it, because just like the wind is running away with quite a lot of our gear, it's run away with my hat. People won't know who I am.
Stop the game, stop everything. We've got to get that hat back. Yeah, absolutely. It seems very much within each of their control just to take that moment and make sure that they're not making those execution errors. The wind is picking up significantly. So what we've seen so far in the game, you know, it's only going to get more challenging, which means it's only going to need more focus and yeah, greater precision.
Tisson, Kerr sends it into the end zone. It's going to be floating away. Just got too much wind underneath the disc from Kerr. Lifted it. Took it out of the path of Krosnier, and ICENI with a chance. So you're coming downwind, or you're coming across the wind. They've gone for a vertical stack. What's your handler thinking here? Have they got the confidence to throw? It's a different handler look here. We've got Wu.
It was a very confident throw from Wu.
She sprints and continues the cut downfield, but the disc just catches a bit too much breeze. Better into the hands of Kwok. Kwok finds Sarah Hills, but Hills can't contain it. Frustrated look on her face. Delaval gets it across to Mateus. Mateus signals with the hand, a high release. Dabin brings it in. Tisson. Tisson for the low release and a big bid for Hills to get the disc back. There was some contact made, Rachel.
You could hear it from over here, so you know, unclear of who was moving what line, but definitely some significant contact there.
Ooh, difficult as we were zooming in just as the pass was made. Not that our opinion counts for a lot in this sort of situation, but we can have a perspective. It looked clean for me. What do you think, Rachel?
Definitely looked like Hills had the kind of the inside line. Perhaps YAKA player number 11.
I think it's Rika Kerr.
Feeling like contact was made, but from this angle, it did look like she was sort of trying to attack the disc early and perhaps moving a little bit more into the line that Hills was already taking. But it's you know, very, very, very close, and we do have a sort of a privileged position over here with the replay that on field, you know, you know what you felt, and often it's hard to unpack that.
Yeah, maybe there was it's a real slow-mo here. Hills has gone with she's gone with the right hand there. Sorry, yeah, she's gone with the left hand. Hang on.
Disc is back with YAKA, so
she's gone with the right hand, complete left-right fail.
Right,
well, they're in, and YAKA have scored. So she went with the right hand, which I felt was the right hand to go with. That's probably where I was going.
I actually think on that last replay, on that slower replay, I think the foul call was valid. On the previous ones, I wasn't sure, but I think on that one, I think perhaps Hills was a slight beat later than Kaya was, and therefore perhaps was sort of initiating the contact. But it was resolved as a foul.
Yes.
And therefore that's the decision. That's what matters.
Absolutely is what matters. It's London Invite, the women's division showcase game between ICENI, the local side from the big city, versus the team from the French capital, coming across from Noisy-le-Sec in the suburbs of Paris. YAKA in the white shirts. I'm Tom Stiles. Alongside me is ex-ICENI player Rachel Douglas. Got some experience of the top team in the big city. Although I think one of the things you've got to mark about ICENI is this is a very different ICENI side from years of old. I think that the pandemic has really caused this team to kind of rebuild, new captains, new looks, new strategies, new kind of philosophy even, I think, and not the same personnel. The name is the same, the shirts are similar, but it's a very different side.
Yeah, I played with ICENI in 2016, and I think looking at the roster, there's only 2 players that played when in 2016 that are playing now. So a very, very different squad.
Is that Fiona Kwan and Karen Kwok?
That is indeed.
Yes. Taylor. Pope was available for the reset. It's gone across to Kwan. And some contact made downfield. Lucy Barnes finishing on the turf.
In a near full backwards roll.
Very apologetic, the French. I'm not sure quite what happened there. Oh, they just ran into each other. That was comedy slow-mo. Loving it. Kwan not able to find Pope. Great pick up off the turf from Becky Thompson. Gets the left hand down. Kwan a bit static in that reset position. Good crossfield pass to Barnes. Opens up the field. Kwan available again. Gets it across to Ellis. Ellis floating forward. This is better from ICENI now. Van Krijken. There's some small children on the sideline. I don't know if you can hear them singing I see what? ICENI. Familiar chant and pressure on the front of the end zone line from Van Wijk is turnover. That'll be. That's the sort of thing that ICENI have just had a few too many of in this game. Like now they've got to have to work hard to get the disc back. And YAKA with an opportunity for a first break of the game. Bass opens up the shoulders. The disc is going to come back into the wind and just doesn't hang around long enough. And the ICENI player Laura Van Krijken just lets it go to the ground.
Bass looking quite disappointed, definitely seeing that as an opportunity, and that was certainly not the throw as intended.
Oh, what a disc from Becky Thompson, but it was a little bit fast moving. Kwan knew she was only going to get one bite at that cherry and unfortunately missed the target. Becker, the distinctive headband and boot matching combination of the 39 shirt, rushes across the field. Can YAKA get the first break of the game here? Bass available again. Just anchoring this handling line in the absence of Mondiaux and bringing it in for YAKA. Their first break of the game. They celebrate like they've won something. Emma Delaunay, the eventual recipient, and they open up a 2-point margin.
Very calm and flowing offense from YAKA. It just looks like a team that aren't under pressure. Despite the fact that we know ICENI are there and we know they have a massive defensive pressure, you know, YAKA just really don't seem to be letting it get in their heads or affect their play too much. Really working hard to get free and just calmly working it around the back when they don't find those downfield options. Great work from Bass to just stay nice and calm and level-headed and eventually find that option in the end zone. But even outside of the end zone and moving it up the field, really calm and collected offense from the YAKA side. Again, from ICENI, we're seeing them giving the turnovers, which is just going to be a challenge.
I think that squeaking on the microphones was tournament director trying to tell us it's half-time. Oh, it's just a squeak. Not sure what he was trying to communicate.
Reminder, at half-time we have the men's distance pulling competition.
Oh, yes,
If
they're
you
trying to
haven't
tell us
nominated
something
your
is
player
going on
for
at
the men's
half-time.
teams yet, please do so. And meet us down by the commentary booth at half-time for the pulling competition.
So the first break of the game, despite the fact there's been so many turnovers, I'm going to count these turnovers, there has been, oh goodness, 15, 14, so 29 turnovers in the game to 6-4 at the moment. But that one less to YAKA is the difference. Kwan floats it into the path of Thompson. Thompson blasts it forward. Taylor receives in full stride, jumps and times her jump perfectly. And that is, I think that might be the first clean offense of ICENI's game so far. They get back within one. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, great effort. Definitely something I think ICENI needed just to give themselves that little boost, that little confidence boost. From our stats extraordinaire, Benji Reese, he's let us know that YAKA's offense averaged nearly 15 completed passes per turn, whereas at the moment, ICENI are only averaging about 3.
Wow.
So, yeah, the stats don't lie. This is a very kind of a scrappy game with both sides trying to get there, but at the moment ICENI really giving the turnovers. But having said that, we've only had one break, so I think you also do have to recognise that although errors are being made, the teams are hustling. ICENI are hustling to try and put pressure on YAKA to try and get those turns back, and are actually managing to make those holds with only YAKA securing one break so far this game.
Well, you know, the stats don't measure grit, do they? The stats don't measure heart. And you don't measure, you know, as you were saying, hustle and, you know, fight. And that's what ICENI have shown so far in this game. They're not out of it. They're trailing by one break. And they've had the disc off ICENI a lot. But that is a huge difference in performance, isn't it? 15 passes per turn against 3 passes per turn. It's a big, big stat.
Wow, huge pull from Katie Flight. It stays in. YAKA having to take it from right at the back of the end zone.
And it's a different type of pull. She's been pulling with the edge of the disc down towards, which, you know, if you ever had Colonel teach you how to pull, he always recommended that method of keep the windward edge of the disc down and sort of curve the disc back in. The difficulty is it doesn't give it any help with the flight. It's pushing the disc down the whole time. Katie Flight using the other edge. It's much more difficult to keep it in the field, but when you do, you get a lot more distance on it. A bit of bumping and barging underneath the disc as a pile of humanity collects, but it's YAKA still with it. Bass hustling in the end zone. Disc goes back to Le Bon. And Le Bon looking for a way through. Oh, the disc doubles off the fingertips and it lands on the turf. Could not quite collect. Navassa with the mistake. Katie Flight looks upfield again. She might do the same thing. Just, oh, and there's that bobble. You see what I mean? And it's almost gone the whole length of the field as our commentary booth is picking up and trying to drag itself off. We may be in a lot of trouble if that does fly up.
It's fairly well tied down, but it is looking a little bit under pressure. Yeah, very, very difficult getting those long shots downfield at the moment. That's really, you'd think going downwind would be the sort of the easier option, but every single downwind put at the moment is just coming off with far too much sauce, and really a big challenge.
Oh, Bass has absolutely nailed that one. Beautiful disc from Paula Bass into the path of Emma De Lune for her second point of the game. Quality stuff, and that's the second assist for Bass as well.
Amazing job from Bass. They knew what they wanted to throw and they weighted it perfectly, putting it right out in front. Really narrow windows, but just as I was speaking about how challenging it is to put those downwind as well as upwind, just a sort of a masterclass in what that's supposed to look like. Really well weighted, really well timed, and flawlessly executed.
See that quick movement from Bass, gets herself right in the power position, opens up the arm, knew the disc she wanted to throw, and everybody else knew the disc she wanted to throw as well. De Lune making herself available in that corner. And you can see a wind turbine just over the house, just over the rooftops, and it is spinning away over there. And if that's given us a clue to the direction of the wind as well, it has moved a little bit. It was going straight across the field earlier. Now it's coming out of the right side of the field. So
yeah, I think it's sort of this home side, the side with the cameras on in this sort of far right corner. I think it's sort of hitting the field and moving across down to that away low left corner where the goalposts are for the rugby. So this position right here is looking almost directly into the wind, and that's why some of these passes are so challenging from that back corner.
Yeah, Becky was basically in right in the teeth of the wind in any which direction she was looking. YAKA's throwing the zone, forcing the throws. That one from Thompson was a little bit wayward, catching some underside breeze. But they've moved it backwards and forwards several times now. Better from ICENI. More thinking about her body position a little bit better from Thompson. Gets a more measured pass across the field. Still buzzing around out there. Esther, can you move, please? Esther. And it's a turnover. They did seem to swing it backwards and forwards, but not making any forward progress there. YAKA just stifling any offensive movement. Taylor, low, trying to stop Delaval making progress, gets it out to Kerr. Kerr back to Tisson and moving the YAKA offensive line, but these three handlers are doing exactly what they need to do, and Andrea Zenz cuts free for her second point of the game in the front corner.
Yeah, the YAKA defense, we saw this at Tom's, which was sort of one of their earlier outings in the season, and just when they want to switch it on and when it comes together and they're able to kind of get their head straight for a defensive point, the YAKA defense can just be stifling and teams cannot figure it out. YAKA have an exceptional depth of knowledge, and as we saw earlier, talking about the ICENI zone, and then YAKA come out with that very same zone. You know, they know the playbook left, right, and centre. They know what other teams are going to look to do, and they've probably, as a team, done it all before themselves. So, really able to show the depth of their experience and their knowledge, and when they need to, they can switch on the force of that onto the opponents on defense, and then offensively aren't too flustered no matter what the other team does.
Well, it's half time here in London. myself, Tom Stiles, alongside Rachel Douglas for this women's showcase game. And would like to thank all of our Patreon supporters, our patrons. And we've got a few of those to mention now. If you want to support Ulti TV, supporting the growth of Ultimate, then you can do that. And for the price of a cup of coffee a month, then help Ulti TV grow the sport by giving free coverage around Europe and around the world. And we'd like to say thank you to Melissa Barnett and Anna Rylova, probably murdering her last name, Helen Barron and Lotta Inkahag, Lara Collier, Tom Basu, Clara B, Bene Wouters, Olivier Manetz, Ostina Scala, Finn Campbell, Katerina Renato, and Ollie Edwards.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, UltiTV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
fund
our work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
Well, welcome back to London Invite here in the breezy city of London on the last stop before World Clubs in Cincinnati, which is at the end of July. Best teams in Europe coming together for this 2 divisions of 8 teams. And it's half-time here in the women's division game between ICENI and YAKA. And we have got a men's pulling competition. That is not a competition for how good your chat-up lines are in the bar. It's how far can you throw the disc. And that, oh, it's just landed out. I think it has to land in to count. But that was a pretty good shot. He was the first person I saw get the wind read correct. This is another one. It's going to catch the breeze. This is the danger. This could be good, though. It's going to be towards the back corner. Oh, that is a pull. That's a pull. And that's in, so that'll count. Now, who else have we got down here?
Someone kicking off their shoes, so clearly not worried about grip issues.
Thrown up the rubber crumb. Here we go. It's going to have a bit of a sprint in. Gets the line right and then launches that nice smooth release. Catches the breeze, it floats, it catches, it's going to carry, it's out the back of the end zone. Oh, that is a big pull. Now, is that a good pull or is it too good? Is it? It's out the back. I mean, it's a long pull, but I'm not sure in the game of the rules whether that'll be celebrated or commiserated.
If it's the same rules as windmill, I believe out the back is acceptable because they're looking for length of throw, basically.
But not out the side.
Not out the side. It has to land in the field, but deeper than the field is permissible. Those are the windmill rules, which I believe has inspired this competition.
Oh, the international windmill rules. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good for me.
But as far as pulls go, that one we just saw before that last one was really sensational. And if that was the pull for the game,
yeah,
you'd be very, very happy with that.
Yes, yes. And as a receiver, the last thing you want in these sorts of conditions is to be making your opening pass after a sort of 9 seconds of hang time where the defence have got a chance to get down there and you're at the back in cow corner with a lot of field to cover and a lot of breeze travelling your direction. It's 8-5 here. YAKA in the white shirts pulling in the second half. Tisson hands over the disc to Delaval, who's going to be taking pulling duties. This opener, the second half, they lead 8-5. And it's good to see that the turnover stats have been very evenly spread. Ellie Taylor with 2 turnovers and 3 points. So I think if she converted another couple of those, she would have had 5 points, really showing why she's such a threat with her speed. On the Great Britain World Games side, heading across to Alabama.
Also part of that squad is Phi Kwan, who's been a huge influence so far in this game. Really some great grabs and such an important player at the back of the field during challenging times. And now picking up the disc.
Perfect. Timing Rachel. Tom Stiles and Rachel Douglas covering this second half. Thompson to Kwan. The disc from Kwan was to Van Krijken, but it was a little bit behind. Mistake from the handler. Van Krijken couldn't quite wrap the fingers around. Delaval. Van Week. Van Week's usually seen deep, but she's floated that in the wind, and it's been better read. Oh, Hose picked it up at the back of the end zone. Becker went right over her head, kept on drifting, kept on going, and sweeping up the garbage at the back of the end zone is Clara Mateus with her first point of the game.
Valiant effort from Becker, trying to backtrack, trying to get there. Not sure if she just tripped over her feet or the floor, or perhaps that was the end zone line, but not to worry. Her teammate has her back, able to read the fact that disc was definitely going to come in at a bit of an angle and tidy that up for the score.
So I just don't understand where there was no bid. Who is that running in for ICENI? He could have just needed a touch.
I think that was Ellie Taylor with her.
Yeah. Maybe she didn't think it was going to be in the area, but
yeah,
you've got to be aware if you're that close. Let's have a look at again the position of the ICENI defender once the wind's just getting underneath that disc. Becker loses her footing. It was Taylor, yeah. I thought it would have been. It looked from here like she had that within reach.
Yeah, but we are sort of at a slightly awkward angle, and perhaps that distance was slightly further than it seems. But Ellie Taylor's the kind of player that would usually be there.
Completely. Thompson, one of the captains for ICENI, gets the disc to Lucy Barnes. World Games coach back to Thompson. World Games commentator. Kwok. Thompson got Barnes behind. Kwok comes back in. Back to Barnes. Got to be available again. And right on the line in front of us, Becky Thompson continues the cut, floats it into the end zone. Excellent work from ICENI. Eventually, the target is the 82 shirt of Kate Stafford.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about when we're sort of saying making sure you're setting yourself up for the throw and taking into account the conditions. Becky Thompson, as soon as she received that disc, you could see her turn. She sees the opportunity coming in, but just took that extra second to get low, to set herself, and to make sure that she's putting it out into space. That little dish up line from Karen Kwok really opened up the space. You see her see the option and just take that extra beat to make sure that she's setting herself and getting a nice low release that's going to sit under the wind in for the score, which was, that's exactly the kind of focus and precision that ICENI really need to bring into the second half.
Yes, didn't need to throw it in stride. No, that awareness that I've got enough time, doesn't take much time to get that foot out and get into position, but in this breeze, every disc has to be flat. Any wobble is going to be chaos and make your receiver's job really tough.
Yeah, and that's another case of sort of reps, you know. Becky will be practicing that throw again and again at trainings, going out throwing, and you know, it's not that, it doesn't take long to get into that position when you've drilled it and when you know, these are the conditions. I'm going to have half a second to get this throw out to hit that window, making sure that you're physically prepped and primed to do that quickly and well.
25 shirt of Labas gets it to Castillo. Labas there, but Katie Flight says no, closes that door. Becky Thompson's cutting around with Paula Bass, keeping Paula Bass company. Castillo again. Oh, a mistake from Le Bon. Disc on the ground. That was coming to a flat, looks like. Maybe just squeezed the hands a bit hard. So a break either side of half, and another break in the first half as well is the difference between these two sides. ICENI trailing by 3. Flight opens up the shoulders, sends it floating through the evening breeze here in London, back of the end zone, just a little bit too much on it, and the wind helping it out towards those rugby posts here at Grasshoppers Rugby Football Club on the edge of West London.
So far, I do think we're seeing that teams are finding it easier to go into the wind rather than downwind, which is, it's counterintuitive, but it also makes a lot of sense. These gusts are just carrying all of those discs so deep. It's really a challenge. Just if you put a little bit too much on a disc, it's just going to fly. Whereas being able to really rip it upwind is something that we've seen both teams making those adjustments and executing really well.
Bass kicking off the YAKA offense, and she has it in her hands. Again now. Castillo, great cut from deep by Le Bon. Castillo again, just struggling to find her footing. Bass, middle of the field, options left and right. YAKA cutting the disc. Oh, if you're going to go and throw it that side, you've got to put more air underneath it because the wind will attack it and push it down to the ground. YAKA not making the adjustment, and ICENI not having to get the block. The disc was targeted at Emma De Lune. Nothing she could do. Thompson for ICENI. Katie Flight busting a move to try and get free, but marked out. Low grab required and delivered from Hayley Dalman. Dalman Gets it across to Leung, and Leung puts it into the turf.
Bass walking up to the disc, just taking stock of what's happening downfield.
Picks up quickly, delivers a disc of absolute perfection. Read the wind, guided it into the end zone. Castillo's run, perfectly timed. Nothing Haley Dalman could do, and it's another point to YAKA.
I had a sense as Bass was walking up to the disc there, taking that extra moment, looking downfield, that something was afoot. Definitely felt like they were sort of trying to make some communication, non-verbal communication, and you know, what would usually perhaps be slightly quicker turn was certainly well set up. And with Castillo going deep, that throw is always going to go. And another example of just how to throw into the wind, how to throw into that, what is actually almost directly into the wind in that corner, and just perfectly executed off a really decisive cut from Maria Castillo, which we've seen time and time again from her. She's such a formidable opponent in the end zone.
Well, she's been a formidable opponent everywhere on the field this game, hasn't she? She can go deep, she can come under, she's been handling. What can't she do? She's been an absolute force to be reckoned with. 3 assists in the game and a score there as well.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of her work. If anyone caught any of the Tom's tourney streams, they'll be very familiar with the fact that I think she's a sensational player, and yeah, a threat wherever she is on the field. But certainly someone where their example of when you see them going deep, you put it.
Yeah, sorry, I misread. I read the wrong stat. That was Tisson has got the 3 assists. Castillo's got 1 point, 1 assist, and 1 block. Katie Flight finds Karen Kwok. Stafford cutting free. Looks up. Nothing on the open side. Low disc to Flight. Flight being marked by the big arms of Rika Kerr. Floats the disc up. Well read by Kwon. Flick across to Barnes. Kwon continues the cut. It's going to be floated into the end zone. Nice combination. And does it just flop out of her hand? There was no contact made by YAKA there. That is just a plain old put it on the ground mistake from Phi Kwon. Having worked really well, that combination of Barnes and Kwon up the line looked effortless.
Yeah, just a very uncharacteristic error, but it does occasionally happen.
Maisel opens up the shoulders, Kerr the target. It's going to float away from her. Maisel's got such good throws. Her flick in particular is absolutely deadly. Too much with the that is directly downwind once it gets into that corner, Rachel.
Yeah, again, we've seen it time and time again. Just the wind is going to really pick those up. It's going to, anything that's showing the underface of the disc is going to get carried to that far sideline, and it's going to suddenly have a lot more gusto behind it. Very, very hard to read, very hard to get down there unless you've made that cut very early, and the throws come quite late.
Oh.
ICENI then facing that same challenge to come upwind against that gusty force, and we've seen turnover after turnover in this far corner.
When you're sprinting at full speed, that disc, the height of that disc is the biggest problem, because you've got to get your arms down. And Stafford not able to connect. Maisel comes to pick up. Maisel's put it up into the breeze. There's going to be a lot of pressure under this. Barnes eventually deals with the matter, deals with it proper, gets it to the ground. And Katie Flight picks up for ICENI another possession. And another disc goes too far in. Contact made. Katie Flight tried to... I didn't think anyone else touched that, did they?
I think there was contact. So if Katie Flight had been able to come down with it, that would have been a legitimate save. But yeah, that sort of just popped up over, and yeah, just a really, really big challenge going upwind from this far corner.
It really has the wind really has moved around. It was a straight crosswind when we started the game, but it's moved around, so it's now basically going down into that end zone and making it very difficult for both sides. And That is another turn, another break for YAKA. They have 4 to ICENI's none, and they lead this one 11-6.
What started as quite sort of an evenly scrappy game, and early on, constantly being surprised that each point was a hold rather than there being any kind of break there. YAKA have just kind of switched it on a bit, had some of those connections upwind, and just managed, I think, to tighten up that smidgen more than we've seen from ICENI. We saw that earlier stat of the sort of the turnovers, passes per turnover, and YAKA really just managing to piece more together. And I think they've sort of kept that consistency, but tightened up that bit more in this second half, whereas ICENI haven't really managed to make those adjustments, and we're still seeing those little execution errors generating turnovers that don't really need to be happening. Turnovers gifted rather than earned for YAKA, I think, despite the fact that the YAKA defense is looking very strong.
Spek, hand up and a foot up, very delicate, ballerina-esque in the delivery of that disc into the breeze, and it's rolled up, and real frustration from Phi Quan, and frustration from Esther Van Wijk as well. Quan throwing the disc too low, straight into French hands, and Van Wijk doing exactly the same in the way back. Thompson with it now for ICENI, floating it over the top. 2 ICENI players rushing onto it, but once the disc gets motoring down there, it's very difficult to get it stalling back into the breeze.
Yeah, two ICENI players going down there, Quan and Van Wijk. Van Krijken. Van Krijken, that disc just went almost directly over her head. That was an incredibly hard disc to read. And as we said, just picking up the wind and kind of pushing it probably beyond what was then playable. But really, really hard angles. Perhaps that was just a little bit too ambitious.
Change of direction in the end zone. Oh, it's a Callahan. Oh, she's pulled it down.
Oh, that's good. There's going to be a discussion there. That definitely looked from this angle that Van Krijken had the disc, but it seems like
it was the angle. I think they did catch it at the same time. Van Krijken tapping back in, gets it across. And back into ICENI hands. Quan. Pope in the middle.
Injury call.
Who's injured? Is it 84?
Number 84. We're both looking at her name, trying to make sure we're not about to butcher it.
Go Collier.
Go Collier? I'll take your lead on that one. Go Collier, calling an injury.
I think it might not be even a French name, but Go Collier is what we're going to go for. And down the line, Quan connects with Thompson for an ICENI point, an ICENI hold. 2 turnovers apiece in that very point. And this is it's been a real tough game for both teams in the breeze, but YAKA doing more at the moment. Passes per turn. So yeah, this is interesting. So have we recorded all of the passes? Yes, I think we may not have all of the passes recorded. I think we have some of them recorded.
Seeing lots of chat in the YouTube comments section. Lots of shout outs to Clapham for organising this tournament, London Invite Tournament. The first international tournament hosted in London for a very long time. And so far going swimmingly. Can see lots of, a few ISNO players. We can see Joe White, And Tim Shock in the comments, turning out, I'm sure, for the YAKA ladies.
Yeah, in Paris for the summer, playing with Is No Good. Joe White and Tim Shock. Benji Reese in the YouTube comments as well, our statistician for the day, sitting down just by our side here. Always with us. Oh, that's a big floaty disc across the top. Is it going to be brought down? No. That's a sort of pass that in any other game, in any other conditions, would be completely legitimate. Here, it feels like it's just off the books. You can't do that. It's not going to work.
Yeah, that was it was the kind of vision that we're used to seeing from YAKA that usually comes off flawlessly, but the conditions are just inhospitable to creativity at the moment.
They are inhospitable to creativity. Yes, I think that's an excellent way of putting it, Rachel. Katie Flight now. Dalman cutting. Swinging the disc across to Leung. Leung up to Emily Hill. Low release, couldn't quite get it out. That's a really tough pass for the young player. Daughter of Cy Hill, UK Ultimate Chair, President.
Visionary.
Grand
Tsar, I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know what his formal title is, but yeah, the godfather of British Ultimate.
And the actual father of Emily Hill, there you go. Oh, a double grab required for Andrea Zenz as she collects the disc. YAKA Delaval, oh, what an explosive player she is. And then sends it, it's going to fly downwind, and Katie Flight denies, lurking like Maverick in the end zone. Taking down the threats.
Time is over. Finish the point and +1.
So the time cap goes on, finish the point and add 1. Deep shot is going to stay out of bounds, so it'll come back in way up, I imagine, by the halfway line.
Uncontested foul called, however, so that will come back to ICENI on offense.
Well spotted, Rachel. It's on the sideline. So, Andy Moss, cameraman. There's an awful lot of work over the years. Many of the photographs you'll see for the show game taken by Andy Moss. And Blockstack TV was a contributor to that on our Facebook page for many years. Katie Flight. She has seen an awful lot of the disc in this game and just trying to dab the feet backwards. Did she get them in?
No.
And in the process has hurt herself. Sarah Hills, what seemed like a brilliant idea, which I didn't think she was actually anywhere near enough.
I think that was very wishful thinking and actually probably a bit personally reckless. Not near enough, perhaps with the number of lines on the field, a little bit confused, but not near enough the end zone for that to be.
She had no hope of getting her feet back there.
Yeah, but just went straight down on her knees. Violation call there, as she had received the disc and had possession. Her replacement player that comes on to replace her in the injury needs to pick it up. Can't
walk over.
Can't tap it and walk over
No.
and then get set. That's not how this works. So that comes back in.
Stafford. Just a poor choice of disc from Stafford. I'm afraid that has been the story of ICENI's games. They just haven't adjusted to the conditions as well as YAKA have. They've made far too many errors. Having said that, YAKA then go ahead and make an error of their own. Rika Kerr reaches up, tries to contain it, but it goes back to the turf. Katie Flight. Karen Kwok. Kwok looking into the end zone. There's a fast cut from Dalman across to that far side. Doesn't connect. Flight again. Stafford cutting to the front corner, and this time it does work out, and I believe that is the first break of the game for the London team. The home side have broken the French.
Yeah, they'll be very pleased with that, to sort of finally have that at least on the scoreboard in the game, although it's now going to be a big battle for ICENI if they want to try and turn this game around and close us out with a win. The score line is 11-8, game to 12.
So yeah, time cap gone on during that point. You can see the celebration there. Sarah Hill's clearly not long-term injured. She came running back on again to celebrate with the team. And pleased to see not carrying any permanent damage from her backwards hop-in fail.
Yeah, always nice to see when someone goes off for an injury. It's great to see players kind of using that call to make sure that they're, you know, being cautious. Sometimes you're not quite sure how badly you've hurt yourself in a moment. So great to see someone who's maybe gone off earlier in the game just to take care of themselves. Sprinting on with a big smile on their face to celebrate a score usually means that they're doing all right. Big pull from Phi Quan, hustling to get down there.
Well, if they can put the pressure on, they've got YAKA in the deep part of that end zone with the wind right in their faces. Castillo being marked by Stafford very effectively, actually, taking away all the options and has to blast it across. Becker catches in stride, flicks back across the field to Delune. High grab from Bass. Paula Bass gets it across, get up the field to Gosselier. Bass in full stride, Thompson trailing. Castillo has a second bite at it, but does contain it eventually. Relief on her face as YAKA take this showcase game here at the London Invite. They've beaten ICENI 12-8 in front of a big crowd of fans here to cheer the home side, but they were not able to cheer them to victory. It's been a tough match in windy conditions, but the French have adapted better, and they are advancing. The form side in the from Europe in the women's division this year, they go to Cincinnati with the hopes of France and the hopes of Noisy-le-Sec and the hopes of Paris, and we wish them well, and we wish ICENI well as well. Rachel, it's been a tough match for both of these teams, but the French did look like the class act on the day.
Yeah, absolutely. YAKA just showing much more consistency and just ability to really focus on the job at hand, I think. ICENI will definitely come away from this game with lots of learning points. Having the stream, being able to watch it back, I think will be really useful for them and helpful as they kind of tighten up in their preparations for Cincinnati.
Yes, coming across to clap the fans here in the stands. They've been cheering. I see what ICENI. I see what ICENI. They're grateful to have people, you know, pay actual cash money to come and see an ultimate tournament in the UK is a rare thing. Congratulations to the London Invite organisers for making it happen as we watch some of the highlights from that game. Was this? Oh, that's that nice put from Thompson to Taylor earlier in the game. Those two players will have been together during the selection process for World Games. Becky Thompson, along with her twin sister Helen, both making the training squad. It's always nice to be considered one of the top 12 players in the country, I think. Everyone will be happy with that accolade.
Yep.
And we're going to wrap it from here. So thank you very much for watching. Thanks to all our Patreon supporters. If you would like to go to patreon.com/ultitv, you'll find a way you can support all the coverage. So it's free to air, and we can bring you live Ultimate from around Europe and around the UK. From myself, Tom Styles, alongside Rachel Douglas. Please do stay with us in London for more action in the men's division. Clapham and Bologna coming right up.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, Ultimate TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
our
work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
I love working with a team towards a common goal.
For the camaraderie.
Camaraderie and playing with my teammates.
I play for my team. Teamwork and the connections that I can build on and off field.
For the community and the exercise.
Because of the community and the competition.
I like playing Ultimate Frisbee for the competition.
I play for the competition and the fun.
For fun.
Because fun.
I love getting to work hard.
You get out of it what you put into it.
Leave everything out here.
Every time I step on the field, I want to be a better player.
You know, give something people to talk about.
Be happy but never satisfied. To step away from real life and focus on Frisbee.
I play because I love Ultimate.
Find your drive.
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 Alti.tv